Good morning, everybody. Right now I'm at the Henry Miller site at Mount Madonna County Park, right near Gilroy, California. And Henry Miller is not to be confused with Henry Miller, the American novelist. We're talking here about the man who was a cattle baron who owned almost 1 million acres of ranch land and just as many cattle. And he lived back in the 1800s to early 1900s. But here in this spot at the Henry Miller site, he built 3 homes for his family, friends, and it comprised of very expansive, big, they call it bungalows, but these were homes that he liked to come to during the summertime to relax, to get away from the business life. He originally had a home down in Gilroy at the Bloomfield Ranch. But this is a fascinating area. It's been here since about 1875. Right now there's nothing left. There are just foundations left, stairways, one wall that we'll show later. And we'll get into the life and times of Henry Miller in a little bit. And also some historical photographs. I'll show you some photographs of these buildings from what I can get from the Gilroy Museum. And we'll show some side-by-side pictures of before and after, pictures of the historical pictures and the present-day pictures of exactly the same spot where the photographer took those pictures. Okay, let's go take a look at Henry Miller site. Henry Miller was born in July of 1827 in Brackenheim, Germany, as Heinrich Alfred Kreiser. Raised on a farm, he was apprenticed as a butcher at the age of 8. At 20 years old, he immigrated to the U.S. and immediately found work as a butcher in New York City. In 1850, fascinated by the gold rush, he purchased a ticket to California from a friend. When he noticed that the ticket was non-transferable in the name of Henry Miller, he adopted the name for the trip. He liked it and legally changed his name to Henry Miller in 1858. His journey took him by steamship to the Isthmus of Panama and another ship to San Francisco, where he arrived in 1850 with only $6 in his pocket. He quickly got a job as a butcher, and by 1851 he had his own shop. In 1857, Miller teamed with Charles Lux, also an immigrant and former competitor, to buy a large herd of American cattle. In 1860, they formed a partnership as Miller and Lux Company, and over the next 27 years, they became the largest landholders in the United States by purchasing and improving a network of ranches throughout California, Oregon, and Nevada. At their peak, they owned well over 14.5 million acres of land and had acquired herds of over 1 million head of cattle, 100,000 sheep, and countless pigs. Henry married in 1860 and with his wife Sarah Sheldon had 3 children, Henry Jr., Nellie, and Sarah Alice. In 1875, Henry Miller purchased land atop what is now known as Mount Madonna County Park for a summer retreat. Logging in the 1860s had stripped much of the mountain of its dense forest, yielding panorama views of the Pacific Ocean and the Santa Clara Valley. Many of these cut trees are still visible today, as evidenced by the moss-covered stumps that litter the forest. During their first mountain summers, the Miller family roughed it, entertaining visitors in colorful, fully furnished tents. In the 1890s, Mr. Miller built 3 homes or bungalows for his wife, Henry Jr., and Nellie. The limestone used to fashion the brickwork in the construction of the main house was quarried from the outskirts of Gilroy. At this time, brickwork can be seen in the construction of Gilroy's old city hall, which Henry Miller helped design. The remaining foundations of the summer homes of the Miller family are still visible, and today tall trees grow within the foundations to give evidence of how nature insists on reclaiming its own. After Miller's death in 1916, the estate fell into disrepair. During Prohibition, squatters and bootleggers occupied the dwellings, and in 1927, the county of Santa Clara began purchasing the property from Miller's heirs for parkland. By the 1930s, Henry Miller's empire was essentially gone. Well, as I wrap up this video, you can hear the sounds of planes, which are unavoidable. We're right on the path of the flight path from one airport to another around here, but also the sounds of the birds and the sounds of the forest that are in this area here at the Henry Miller site. So I hope you enjoy this video as we look around the foundations of this area and looking back on the history of Henry Miller. It's really pretty fascinating how this place came to be. And it's also interesting to see from the past photographs that I just took, the comparison photographs of the buildings and how they look today. So as we look around, we're going to swing around to another one of the buildings here. And of course, it's all foundations, all overgrown. Trees are overtaking the foundations. But it's a beautiful morning here now. It's very quiet. Again, lots of planes, but something Henry Miller didn't have to worry about in his day. But thank you very much for joining me on this historical quest, this historical walk through Henry Miller site here at Mount Madonna. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again.